Our oceans are being filled with a disturbing amount of plastic. There is currently estimated to be 150 million tons of plastic in our oceans. If things continue as they are, the volume of plastic in the world's oceans will be greater than the fish in the ocean by the year 2050.
The amount of solid plastic waste produced since the 1950s that has not been burned or recycled is around 4.9 billion tons. This could all have been dumped into a 70-metre deep landfill the size of Manhattan. While much of it has indeed ended up in landfill around the world, far too much of it has found its way into the natural environment, with around 10 million tons a year ending up in the ocean. Over half of all plastic is used just once and then thrown away, taking hundreds of years to decompose. Apart from the perception that plastic waste is ugly and unnatural, it has also been known to harm marine animals, and exposed to salt water and sunlight, it can fragment into microplastics, which some people fear can poison sea life and humans who subsequently consume it. But is it as big an environmental problem as the plastic panic across the rich world suggests? Plastics account for just 10% of the 1.3 billion tons of waste produced globally every year. Air pollution is blamed for 7 million deaths per year worldwide. Ocean acidification, the result of man-made carbon dioxide emissions, is disastrous for coral reefs and many other forms of sea life. In any case, efforts are being made to improve the situation, or at least lessen the impact of plastic. In 2008, Rwanda introduced strict laws banning plastic bags, and many countries have since followed with similar initiatives. In December 2017, 193 countries committed to a UN plan to stop plastic waste entering the ocean. To eliminate plastic waste reaching the natural environment, it must first be collected. In developed countries, virtually all of it is. But 5 countries in Asia are dumping more plastic into the oceans than the rest of the world combined. If the world wants to tackle plastic pollution, then it should first concentrate its efforts on the biggest culprits in Southeast Asia. Until it does, all other efforts will be a drop in the ocean.
Problems. 1. Sea life becomes tangled in the plastic when they swim through it. Around 40 different species of animals have become entangled or swallowed plastic since 2009. 80% of these animals were endangered. 2. Plastic breaks down into smaller pieces over time, which fish and birds can easily eat. Plastic breaks down in the oceans and gets to smaller and smaller pieces. Birds and sea animals will come across this plastic and eat them. 3. The water is poisoned by microplastics when plastic breaks down. Microplastics are very small pieces of plastic. Birds and fish can easily eat them. Our food eats the plastic, so that there is a good chance that we are too. 4. Plastic impacts tourism and fishing industries. Tourism is down in coastal cities due to tourists wanting to see more fish and only seeing plastic floating by. Fishing industries are a big part of the problem, as they throw nets and other things into the ocean and are not retrieving them.
Ocean pollution is one of the most serious environmental issues we're currently facing as a species. If we continue with the current rate of plastic waste, we will have real seas of plastic around the year of 2050, killing our marine life. In this The Daily Eco video, we're going to analyze the cause of plastic waste in our oceans, as well as the consequences that this entails. In addition, we'll talk about the possible solutions to this problem. Are you ready? Let's dive right in. Causes of plastic waste in the ocean. When we dispose of plastics that we no longer use, they can follow several routes. They can be incinerated, recycled, end up in a landfill, or anywhere else if we don't dispose of them properly. Those that are not recycled or incinerated, even those that are still in the yellow container, can be washed into the sea or the ocean due to the wind or the rain. In addition, we also find plastic in the sea that originate from deliberate dumping of garbage, accidental dumping from ships, or due to sewage treatment plants. None of this would happen on such a large scale if we didn't manufacture this amount of plastic that we do in the first place. Types of plastic in the ocean. More than 80% of marine litter is plastic. Of this percentage, we can confirm that 49% corresponds to single-use plastic, a truly alarming amount. Another 27% corresponds to plastic used in fishing equipment, and the remaining 6% is other plastic. The most common single-use plastics that have been found on the beaches and seabed are lids, bottles, cigarette butts, cotton buds, snack wrappers, hygiene items, plastic bags, Tupperware, straws, plates, glasses, balloons, and food containers. These products represent 86% of single-use plastics, or 43% of all marine litter. Some have even been found 10,000 meters in depth. However, some areas, which are called plastic islands, have been identified where they have a great concentration of plastic. Before we continue, let's put you to the test. How much plastic is already accumulated in our oceans? Is it A, 50 million tons, B, 100 million tons, or C, 150 million tons? Think about it, because at the end of the video, you'll be able to find out if you were right. Consequences of plastic in the ocean. On one hand, plastic waste causes entanglement in certain marine animals, hindering their development and even causing their death. Some of these animals mistake the pieces of plastic for their usual food, something that can block their stomach and also lead to their death. Likewise, human beings also ingest these materials as a consequence of the food chain. In addition, in the long process of decomposition, microplastics and nanoplastics release chemicals that are harmful to life in ocean waters. On the other hand, there are some species of bacteria that develop on plastic, which moves freely and take them to ecosystems that they're not adapted to. And lastly, plastic waste in the ocean also has a negative impact on our economy, especially the tourism and the fishing sectors. Solutions for plastic waste. The solutions must involve producers, consumers, and those who manage waste, but of course it has to be supported by the governments. The main solutions we propose are: reduce the consumption of plastic and avoid using single-use plastic. In fact, the European Parliament has approved a ban on single-use plastics from 2021. Buy foods that are sold in bulk so you can avoid buying plasticized and packaged foods in excess. Avoid using cosmetics and microplastics and opt for biodegradable clothing. Reuse. If you already have plastic products, try to reuse them as much as possible. Recycle. Leave the plastic in the right place to be properly processed so it doesn't end up in our oceans. Demand that more efficient recycling methods be available, as there are still types of plastic that cannot be recycled. Lastly, another solution that can help is to create taxes for the most polluting plastic. This way, companies will make an extra effort to opt for plastic that can be recycled or biodegradable options, which is even better. There are also solutions for the plastic that is already in the ocean, such as the Ocean Cleanup Project. This is a mechanism that collects the garbage from the sea with the help of structures designed properly so as to not cause damage to the fauna and flora. Another project, devised by Norwegian Tycoon, is the launch of a large research vessel that will pursue novel solutions for cleaning plastic from the oceans. Finally, recycling can be improved with the help of bacteria that ingest PET. And going back to the question we had asked you before, have you thought about it? The correct answer is C. In our seas and oceans, there are 150 million tons of accumulated plastic. In fact, it's estimated that no less than 4.8 to 12.7 million tons of plastic end up in the oceans each year. So, tell us in the comments below, what are you going to do to reduce plastic waste in the ocean? We hope you've enjoyed this video, and we'll see you in the next one.
The causes are that the manufacture and disposal of plastics is a global problem. We manufacture tons of plastic and only 4% of it is currently recycled. The rest are incinerated or go to landfills or end up in the oceans. Half of the plastic in the ocean is from single-use plastics. The The other half is from the fishing industry and other miscellaneous sources.
Did you know that most plastics aren't recycled? Plastic types 1 and 2 are generally accepted by recycling facilities, where types 3 to 7 rarely make it there. This has led to plastic being deported to China for many years. In fact, many countries around the world have been sending their plastics to China, basically paying for China to deal with their problem, until 2018 when National Sword, a policy implemented by the Chinese government, banned the import of plastics and other recyclables into the country. These countries scrambled to figure out how to deal with their waste. Sadly, this problem isn't even close to being solved. Other countries stepped up to take on the plastic waste, like Malaysia, or they were dealt with locally. It's always the same result though, burning it, which causes significant greenhouse gases, or burying it in landfills. But a lot of this plastic ends up in the ocean. Over 9 billion tons of plastic have been produced since the 1950s. At this rate, plastic will outnumber the amount of fish in the ocean by 2050. This is at a current rate of 1 million tons of plastic being produced every single day worldwide. About 8 to 9 million tons of this plastic ends up in the ocean annually. With only 9% of plastic being recycled every year, marine life ends up paying the price. Microplastics end up being eaten by fish, which ends up back on land on someone's dinner plate. While daunting and disturbing, Bifusion, a company who creates construction blocks from this plastic, is doing their best to do something about this problem. I have no affiliation with this company, they don't know who I am, I just really like what they're doing. They take marine plastics and old fishing nets and melt them down into big Lego blocks. They weigh around 22 pounds or 10 kilograms each and can be customized to specific densities. As you can see here, they don't crack or crumble like concrete blocks do, requires no glue or adhesives, and creates 41% fewer greenhouse gases in its creation as compared to concrete blocks. A project in Hawaii on the island of Kauai was recently constructed using BiBlocks. A pavilion was constructed at the island school using these blocks. A concrete pad is poured with rebar, and then the blocks are lowered into place. It took only a day to build the walls from the BiBlocks, these plastic blocks, which offer good soundproofing and insulation value. They're ideal for retaining walls, sheds, privacy fences, sound walls, furniture, or whatever else your imagination can come up with, really. Ideally, the consumption of plastic needs to drop dramatically, but we need solutions like the BiBlocks by Bifusion to clean up our world. This technology is available to waste management companies to integrate into their facilities, so all we need now is strong leadership and to prioritize our planet over profits.
The solutions to make our world a cleaner and safer place for animals are these solutions to water pollution. Avoid using single-use plastics such as paper bags, water bottles, food containers, and more. You should be aware of plastics in the products you buy, such as clothing, cosmetics, and even toothpaste. Recycle correctly items that can be recycled. You can lobby for better recycling facilities so that more plastics can be recycled and are not incinerated. And you can also support ocean cleanup projects, which will help clean up the environment and help the animals that live in it.